All right. Hello, everybody. Let's get our little... Here we go. Hi, live from Denver. It is Friday night. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Critical Conversations. For, what is it, February what
Second.
now? 2nd.
Yes.
February 2nd.
Groundhog
All right.
Day.
Yes. Groundhog Day.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
I saw something about Puxatani
Phil
or whatever.
I guess he didn't see his shadow. I don't know. Not that that really means anything, but
I see. Well, hey, everyone. I see all the usual suspects and critics in the chat. Hey, critics. Hey, everybody. Very glad to have you here on board this week. Lots to talk about, and we're going to get into it, but we're going to do our early spring. Yeah, exactly. I guess we'll see. I don't particularly, just so we're all clear on this, I don't particularly put a lot of stock in rodents telling me about weather. Yeah, I don't generally consult with the mice in the backyard or the squirrels in the front yard or even Benson.
Yeah, I don't think
on the weather.
No.
In fact, I don't know. I think I've mentioned this before. My absolutely. Somebody actually, this actually came out of somebody from Minnesota shared this with me, and I believe that it is absolutely 100% foolproof and accurate. 100% perfect way of knowing what the weather is going to be is to go outside every morning and look at the weather rock. And you simply go out on your front porch and there's the weather rock and you pick it up, and if it's got snow on it, hey, guess what? It's snowing. And if it's got water on it and it's wet, it's raining. And if it's dry, hey, guess what? It's going to be dry today. The weather rock tells you all. So there you go. Wow, we got a lot of questions being fired at us, being shouted at us in the comments here. This is not generally a Q&A show, by the way, guys. But of course you can ask anything you want.
Benson is
Benson.
4,
there we go.
And he is a Shih Tzu Lhasa Apso mix.
We believe, yes.
We believe.
We've been told. We're sure about the Shih Tzu. I'm not 100% on the Lhasa, or maybe there's something else in there too.
Yeah, he's got big old feet. I don't know where those come from.
We don't know.
For this little guy, he has some big feet.
Exactly. In fact, let's do our Snuggles Not Struggles, and then let's do our quote after that. So since we're sitting here talking about Benson here, let's hit on our Snuggles Not Struggles cam. And
he got a little bath today, so he's all soft and poofy.
Yes, he is. He's super poofy and super soft today. And there he was just chilling in my chair, and he was being, what was he like after? I mean, he really got the zoomies. Was he just trying to dry himself off?
Well, I mean, he was mostly dry, but yeah, he just always gets the zoomies after a bath, no matter how dry he is, no matter what,
Yeah. Yeah, there he is.
Gets excited.
Yeah. And he was chilling for a minute there, and then we were like, well, he's so chill. Let's see if we can get a little bit of motion out of him for the floofy. He's so floofy.
He is.
Oh, they are the zoomiest. Oh, that is absolutely true, Stuart. And so there he is, just
yes,
just being a little floof monster. All right, so let's there we are with our Snuggles Not Struggles cam. All right, so there's your Benson cam for this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed the floof. I will, odds are, the Jehovah's Witness guy, I will be from Jehovah's Witnesses to declared apostate, which is awesome. And you were plying me with questions last weekend, I remember, which was awesome. You had some great ones. I do not plan on going live this Sunday. I guess, of course, as always, we'll see. I was just going to say, actually, there's going to be a Q&A show this weekend. and then
We'll see.
leave it at that. So we'll see what happens. But my plan is to pre-record tomorrow. So and then we'll see.
Yeah.
On all of that. Thank you. I enjoy this sweater. Now we have some things to talk about. Yeah. Let's get into it. You have a quote of the week to start us off. So many things.
Okay, this one's from William Shatner. Most people, including myself, keep repeating the same mistakes.
Yes, indeed.
Not true. We have to repeat the same mistake a few times, sometimes a few hundred times before we learn our lesson.
Indeed we do. My goodness, indeed we do. So why do people cult hop? We are going to get into that, but I wanted to address a couple other things first.
All right.
Just for fun.
Cool.
Well, that's exactly what I'm about to talk about, Xenu. What prompted you to make the statement about education, understanding, and rage in your community page today? What could have done that? Okay. Couple things. Got everything all written down here today. Not word for word, but with some things we're going to go over. I am starting to just, there are some things that I'm getting disappointed about at this point. For many years now, I have discussed the fact that OSA, the Office of Special Affairs, and other organizations and activities are organized under other cults as well. The Mormons have disinformation campaign people, and the JWs have internet disinformation, misinformation people. The Moonies, the Unification Church, has a massive disinformation and PR arm to their cult. Practically every cult you're going to run into, and certainly every mainstream major one that has managed to carve out its existence for over a decade or longer, right? These long-term groups, these groups that get out there in the public notice and survive the shellackings and somehow, build and grow and all of that. Every one of these activities, oh, good. We'll get to that. I should let the caller know in the queue that we get to the calls at the later half of the show, so we will pick you up, but you might want to call back in rather than wait on hold all that time, just so you know. That's the format of the show. Don't want you sitting there on hold all this time, because I do want to take your call, but I do want to do it in the later half of the show. So we say these things, and it feels like sometimes we're speaking into a vacuum or something. And I'm not the only person who has talked extensively about the Office of Special Affairs and the disinformation and misinformation and trolling and psych ops, the psyops that they execute, that they get into, that they run on people. We've shown you, you've seen on other channels, the programs, the actual written step-by-step, target-by-target. This is what you do to take out critics of Scientology. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't know, having lived it, I try to get people to appreciate and understand that there are people who go to work every single day, get their Starbucks on the way to work, go up to the 10th or 11th floor of the Hollywood Guarantee building in Los Angeles and sit and do those programs all day long. That's all they do. That's all they spend their time doing, is executing misinformation and disinformation and psych ops programs to destroy critics of Scientology. These are dedicated people, and they don't have anything else to do all day. And they actually like the work. Because if you're going to be in the Office of Special Affairs, and certainly in any of these other groups, you have to want to do that work. Right? We've mentioned this. Mm-hmm. And yet, We say that this is a thing, that this is real, that this exists, that cults engage in psyops activities. Now more than ever before, because it's easier now than it ever has been before to do it, because the internet is free. And you can just make an account and assign some name to it and go to town. And you can just go to town. Right? Against anyone, against anything, all day long on as many platforms as you can get onto, and as many DMs as you can slide into, and as many tweets as you can send, and everything else. That's the work of these people, as well as, when they really get advanced, getting on the phone to people, creating relationships with critics and ex-members and all of this kind of stuff. This happens. This is real. It's not a fantasy or a movie or a TV show or something that we talk about as though it's like, oh, maybe this is what's going on. This is what's going on. We know this for a fact. You should know this for a fact if you're a Scientology watcher. The effort is always to invalidate, to intimidate, and to stop. That's what they're trying to do. And the number one, the key strategy, because it's, again, so easy to do and so easy to keep your mind on when you're doing it, is divide and conquer. That's the key strategy of how this is accomplished. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer. Sow distrust, make people upset with each other, antagonize people, get them fighting one another. Drama, drama, drama. Yeah, it would be nice from Jehovah's Witnesses Declared Apostate if you'd stop posting in all caps. If you could reduce that down, because it really is shouting. We've known this for a long time. So please stop with the all caps comments. Thank you. I love your comments, but regular text. So I wanted to say something about this. I've already told you guys how I feel about drama. I'm not going to repeat any of that. I'm not going back into that. In fact, if anything, right, this is, even moving farther away from it. But I wanted to kind of monologue about this for a minute, because it's like everybody forgets. They just conveniently forget that everything I just said is absolutely true. Or they think, yeah, but.
Uh-huh. There's always the yeah, but.
Right? There's always the yeah, but. Always. Yeah, but not this time. Not this person. Oh, no, not me. I'm not being affected by any of that.
Yeah. Everybody else is affected but me.
Right? It's the same thing as saying you're... It's the same thing as saying that advertising doesn't work on you, you know? Okay. So what I wanted to kind of put out there for people is that this is I'm gonna actually I'm gonna put it this way. I know this is all what's going on. I know that OSA and other interested parties are all about drama, and stirring up whatever. Okay? Yeah. This channel is a drama-free zone. This channel is not about ex-member versus ex-member drama. It never really has wanted to be that. It is not that. It's not going to be that. If you've come here for drama, for interpersonal conflict, and let's stir the pot and let's get people mad at each other, you came to the wrong place. That's not what I'm about, and that's not what this channel is about. Period. End of story. It's really simple. There are so many channels and so many activities right now that are all about that. You know, knock yourselves out. That's not what I'm trying to do here. This channel is about education and information and help, and that's it. And I'm doing the best I can to do that. But here's the other thing I wanted to say. Because in all this effort, and I've been doing this for 10 years, And in all this time, there have been dedicated efforts to stop me. From the church, from outside the church. In drama, outside of drama. Just different things. Hell, the church offered to buy my channel. Remember that? There have been efforts. And there are dedicated efforts right now. And honestly, I don't care about any of that. That's not what any of this is about. And I need to let you guys know that I'm not going anywhere. Period. End of story. I've survived all the last 10 years of bullshit, and I'm still here. I've been through some shit. I've been through some shit in a cult. I've been through some shit outside of a cult. I'm sure a lot of you have too, right? I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here. I'm never trying to put myself on a pedestal. But I do need to say that this effort to invalidate, intimidate, stop, harass, all this bullshit that's going on and has gone on in the past, I know where it all comes from. Ultimately, it goes back to the goddamn cults. Mainly. You know, and the other stuff is so minor and so stupid, it's redonkulous, right? It just drives me crazy. So that's where I'm at. So in terms of what I wanted to kind of put here today is I wanted to let you guys know that there are people out there who don't get me. They think they do. They think they understand what I'm about and what I'm doing. And I'm talking about OSA right now, by the way. I'm talking about people who have tried to stop me for years. Not any of the recent crap. All the recent crap is just recent crap. I'm talking about the long-term stuff, right? This wearing away, this program that exists in the Office of Special Affairs. Take Chris Shelton out. That exists. So what am I going to think when people come at me with all of this nonsense and crap that I know isn't true about me? I just go, oh, you're forwarding OSA's crap. You're forwarding some bullshit about me. All right, cool. That's great. I'm going to keep going, right? None of that's going to stop me. And that's what I wanted to say about that. And I just wanted to put the new rule there that this is a drama-free zone. New rules, right?
Yes.
We are not about talking about ex-member conflict here. Take the moral outrage and the half, baked information and all that and go somewhere else, because that's not what this is about. I want to educate. And on that happy note, we're going to get into that now.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, about all the drama and...
Well, just about what I just said, I guess. Yeah. All of it. I mean, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, you're not a drama...
As an outside person.
Drama person, and it's very frustrating when people are trying to cause drama and start stuff, and they may not even realize what they're doing, and it's like, look, just we're all trying to get along. We're not trying to be that channel.
That's right. That's exactly right. And yes, you're exactly right, Jehovah's Witness to Declared Apostate. Liz Gale said that she did try to talk to me, because she did. She commented on my channel, and I've responded to her. We did talk. And that conversation has been had, and it's over. So, are you stirring the pot? Are you here to create conflict? Is that what this is about? Because if so, I'm not interested. That's where I'm at. All right. So, yes, I actually do believe that despite all of this crap and nonsense and everything else, as PTS for Life so wonderfully just reminded us, right? We are all in this together. Actually, at the end of the day, that should be how it is.
Exactly.
Okay. So, let's talk about cult hopping.
All right.
What is cult hopping? What do you understand about cult hopping?
That it's just you get out of one cult, then somehow you end up in another cult, and maybe even another cult. It's just you're just, that's how you're meeting your emotional needs, I guess. Is you're going from cult to cult, and you're not realizing that maybe that you're doing that.
That's right. Exactly. And as we know, cults span every activity people engage in. Any group of people can turn into a destructive, culty, gangy, coercive environment. Let's put it that way. And when it does, or when that happens, and now you get that, develop that codependency, and the whole group is all about the leader or this power and the whole thing, all that stuff, right? Doesn't have to be in a religious setting in order for it to be a cult, or in order for it to have these coercive elements in it, right? So people can jump from one activity to another, and not even be in a religious setting. Mm-hmm. I wanted to clear that. I wanted to kind of get that picture out of the way real fast, because I think a lot of people will think about going from the Mormons to the JWs to the Scientology to this to that, and that absolutely happens. Yeah. Probably the most common way it does happen in terms of cult hopping, but I don't want to forget about the other stuff, right? What about people who go from one multi-level marketing scheme and get, ripped off, or they get out quickly enough that they don't get totally ripped off, and then they go sign up for another one. Mm-hmm. And then that doesn't work out for them, and they get financially strapped again, and they're down to their last, 2 cents or whatever, and they join another one, right? Because it's that get-rich-quick mentality that's got to go in there, right? So lots of different spheres of activity can encompass cult hopping. As long as you're kind of going from one to another, that's what we're talking about. And this is a quote from a Rolling Stone article on this subject, and this is a quote from Steve Eichel, who's the president of, this is out of the Rolling Stone, they were interviewing Steve Eichel, who's the president of the International Cultic Studies Association, ICSA. And here's the quote from the article. But the main reason why cult hopping is so prevalent stems from an extremely common and incorrect assumption about cult members, that they're inherently naive or poorly educated or vulnerable to being duped. On the contrary, Eichel says, most people who become involved in cults come from middle class or upper middle class backgrounds and have higher than average IQs. They also tend to have a history of becoming attracted to social justice movements and causes. Quote, we're talking about people who want to change the world, who want to do something productive, he says. It isn't until it's too late, he says, that they realize the only person whose life they're improving is their leader. Oh, thank you, Laura, for that super chat. Thank you very much for that. Very appreciated. Thank you for the support. Okay. So that's kind of interesting, right? It's not a stupid, naive, gullible, this is just some person who anybody can con at any time, and that's why they're going from one cult to another, and, blame the victim, right? Now, this is why, of course, education is so important, in between these cult stints, because if you get educated and understand how this stuff works, you're a lot less likely to cult hop, but I'm getting ahead of myself as always. So here's the funny thing about all of this is that the reasons why people, I've got a list, I'm going to go over it. The reasons why people cult hop can be remarkably similar to why people join cults in the first place. We all have needs, and those needs have to be fulfilled. I'm just going to keep harping on this probably forever.
Yep, emotional needs. I
really think this is a thing. I really think this is a good way of explaining this, because it explains everybody. It's not cultural, it's not educational, it's not language specific, it's not where you're from, it's not your zip code, it's not your pocketbook. It's what makes us human beings in the first place, right? These emotional needs we have. If they are not met, we are left feeling isolated, alone, empty, and confused. So our every effort is to fill that void. And that is how we can make non-ideal groups appear ideal to us, right? Is those needs we see. And no, cool. Thank you from Jehovah's Witness to a declared apostate. I appreciate that comment. Thank you. Understood. So emotional needs. Yeah. So this is why this is like super, super important to understand. Have not only critical thinking skills, but also emotional intelligence. Understand your emotional self. Understand you have emotions, emotional reactions, but also emotional needs. They're two different things. Your needs are a longer term thing, as we've gone over. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, definitely check out my earlier. We've talked about it here on this Friday show. Done podcasts about this, interviews with psychologists about it. This is it's important stuff. So filling that void, right, and making groups be what we need them to be is kind of what this cult hopping thing is. It's trying to fill those needs. What kind of needs? Well, seeking purpose and belonging. There's one. Cults often offer a sense of purpose, community, and belonging, right? Emotional needs. If a person feels lost or lacks a clear sense of direction in life, they may be drawn to the structure and camaraderie provided by cults. Hey, Annie.
Hello.
Awesome. So that's a big one. In fact, I'd say that is probably seeking purpose and belonging is probably near the top of the list, if not at the top of reasons why.
We're social creatures.
Well, exactly. Who doesn't want that?
Exactly.
I mean,
if you say you don't, you're probably in deep denial about something. But
probably.
We all want that. You know, we all want a connection, and we need it because that's how we survive, is helping each other out.
Well, exactly. And how do you feel when you don't have that?
Sad, depressed, angry, not right, you know?
Right. And and here's the point. When we are angry, when we are sad, when we are not necessarily our most, shall we say, rational version of ourselves, are we prone to good decision making?
No.
Right? There's an idea. Because we often will judge people so harshly for when we're in a calm, rational, like objective frame of mind. We can see all the mistakes they're making, right? I mean, this is why being an objective, outside friend and stuff like that is always so valuable.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes we go in the wrong, we go in a little bit of a harsh direction with that, right? And yet, if somebody is feeling that way, they feel that need. They need to fill that void. Why do, hookups happen with the most awful people you would never want to be connected with, right? But they keep getting drawn back to that, right? It's filling that void, filling that need. Drives a lot of behavior. Vulnerability and manipulation is next on the list as to reasons why people cult hop. Vulnerability and manipulation. Individuals facing personal challenges, such as grief, trauma, or major life changes, may be more susceptible to the tactics of cult recruiters. Cults often exploit vulnerability and use manipulative techniques to gain control over individuals. So it's, again, the recruitment techniques are going to work on you if you don't know what you're looking at when it's happening to you. Right? The red flags don't look like red flags. They look like green flags if you're not educated. If you don't know what predators are, if you don't know what gaslighting and all these other things are, when they're being done to you, you might not necessarily recognize it. And even if you do know all about this, it's still a challenge to see it right in the moment. It usually takes a little bit for it to kind of, oh, wait a minute, hang on a second. This sounds too good to be true, right? Usually it takes a few days or weeks for that to start sinking in, even if you're educated in this stuff. Okay, disillusionment with current cult. A person may become disillusioned with their current cult due to internal conflicts or disagreements or unmet expectations, right? It's not doing it for them. And by the way, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but most people do leave cults on their own. I mean, statistically speaking, if you look at the big wide picture, people come in, they spend time in it, Like any club or group or activity, it's a bit more intense than any other club, group, or activity. But something happens, something clicks, and they go, yeah, and off they go, right? It happens most of the time. But sometimes not. And I would say that I would dare to go out on a limb and probably suppose that with second gens, it's probably harder to leave, right, than it is for first gens. Yeah, I don't have any studies or statistics to back me up on that. It's just my thought on it. But okay, so disillusioned, right? The group's not doing it for you. Escaping one form of control for another. Some individuals may leave one cult because they feel oppressed or controlled, but may end up joining another group that exerts a similar or even more intense level of control. This can happen when a person is conditioned to seek external authority figures. And sad to say, most of us are conditioned to seek external authority figures.
Is that the truth?
Sounds like this nefarious thing until you think about it, right? Teachers, doctors, lawyers, parents, ministers. I mean, there's a myriad of authority figures that most of us are taught to respect, not question, not talk back to, etc. Right? Okay, another reason why we will see people cult hopping is a desire for spiritual exploration. Now, again, I said that a lot of these are going to sound like reasons why people get into cults in the first place. Same needs. Some individuals are on a constant quest for spiritual or religious meaning in their lives. If they become dissatisfied with one set of beliefs, they might explore other options, including different cults, in their search for spiritual fulfillment. You also see cult merging. This also goes on, which is kind of interesting, right? A person will get really into one group, but then at the same time, they'll actually go, because of this, it's not quite, it's fulfilling this part, but it's not hitting this part for me. So they go over to this other group to try to get this figured out, right? And so you can get this melding or merging of multiple groups or activities that a person could get involved in too, because of this sort of, trying to play all angles, so to speak, right? Again, hardly unusual or weird. This is all very normal behavior for any of us in any part of our lives, but with cults, it's more noticeable. Okay, now, of course, this is one, and it's an important one. A lack of critical thinking skills.
Oh, sure.
Right? So we have here, yes, OBG Foster, demand everybody talk about the same thing at the same time in the same way and then bashing anyone that doesn't is cult behavior. You are absolutely right. It is. Variety is the spice of life, folks. So lack of critical thinking skills. Cults often discourage, in fact, not just often, they always discourage critical thinking skills and independent reasoning. If an individual lacks strong critical thinking skills or has not developed a robust sense of skepticism, they may be more prone to getting involved in multiple cults without questioning their beliefs. And how many times do we see this, right? And this is in relationships as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
People go from abusive partner to abusive partner, and
that's right.
They just don't know the signs.
That's right. Well, we talk about this thing called codependency, right? This need for the other person in your life to, the sort of exclusion of any good sense or reason or anything is just, gotta do this, right? I gotta have this person, need this person. I can't live without you.
Well,
right?
That, and it's like, I don't know, we just, even now, I think we still make it seem like you have to have somebody or you're worthless, and it's like, you'll be lonely and die alone. And it's just like, so people get all scared and then they latch on to people that aren't so good for them.
That's right. That's exactly right. Right. So those damn pesky emotional needs. But truly, seriously, if you don't understand critical thinking, like simple stuff, right? Like we go over every week, like what are the logical fallacies? What is an argument? What is it when somebody says something and they say it's true? How can you know whether that's true or not? Or how can you verify? Or how can you find out? there are signs, there are things you can know in the moment that will tell you something ain't making sense. And most of us kind of have some sense of this, but you can develop it as a skill and get better and better at it. It's a discipline, like we've talked about. It's like a martial art. You got to practice it all the time. Lacking that, you can end up being taken advantage of, basically, over and over again, simply out of ignorance or an inability to kind of manage or make your way through the lies and deceptions that are being thrown at you. That's what critical thinking's so good at, is taking that crap apart. It's wonderful for that. Okay, social isolation. Next one on the list here. We've got two. This is the second to last one, the penultimate one. I'm always misusing that word, so I'm trying to get it right. Social isolation. Individuals who are socially isolated or have strained relationships outside of the cult may find it challenging to break away entirely. They may hop from one cult to another as a way to maintain some form of social connection.
Right.
Right. Again, not being fulfilled here, I'll go over here.
Yep.
Right. Kind of thing. And then finally, okay, good. Timing-wise, this is working out. Psychological manipulation. Why would people go from one to another? Because they're being manipulated to. Cults use various mind control techniques to shape the beliefs and behaviors of their members. If a person has been subjected to intense psychological manipulation, they may find it difficult to break free from the cycle and might be susceptible to joining another cult. Okay, here, going from Scientology to independent Scientology is a perfect example of this. The manipulation is all still there. The intense psychological trauma of auditing and what it induces in you. I'm telling you, it's a trip. It messes with you. It's not just messing with your conscious thoughts. It messes with you in a subconscious way. I'm telling you, it's bad, bad, bad stuff. And if someone is exposed to and it becomes addicted to that process, which a lot of Scientologists are in one form or another, then they come out of that and they don't acknowledge it, don't know it, aren't aware of it, don't deal with it, and they're still susceptible to it, they're still addicted to it, and they'll still go seek it out and pay money for it and involve themselves with it. So now, of course, and also, as always, it doesn't always come down to a simple bullet point list. Okay, there's lots of reasons why people do everything they do. These are broad categories of why this might happen with people, but everybody's individual and has their own context and everything, and we do need to be sensitive to that in every time when we're discussing this stuff. I'm just trying to give some broad strokes for some of this stuff and some kind of idea of how this stuff works. Yes, exactly. We gravitate to what feels normal for us. That's good. Okay, so we've got a couple calls in the queue, and I think I want to get to them earlier than later, so let's do it. All right, first one. Okay, is this Andrea? Andrea, hi. Sorry, I've got that voice to text thing here. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah.
I called in before and I told you that I went to the Scientology thing here in Canada.
Yeah, I remember that.
I've listened to your conversations with Alex earlier today, and I've heard Alex and Jeff talking about when they went to the one in England, and I'm like, I had such a totally different experience than any of what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
And I was really confused if that was normal or if there was just something going on.
Yeah, tell me what happened.
It seems like okay, so we went in, and the guy was just nice and talked to us, and he said, fill out this thing, and we didn't use our real names. And he was like, okay, well, what brought you in? And I just kind of lied and said, I know nothing about it, and I just thought I'd come in and see it. And he was like, okay, well, and he put me in front of the screen, watched this video, didn't really say anything to us, just let us watch the video, showed us another one, showed us a different video, then let us just kind of walk around. We went in the chapel part all by ourselves. He didn't care what we were doing. We were standing there reading stuff. And then we came back out, and he asked us a couple questions, but, there was no find your ruin or anything like that. He didn't try to sell me a book. We're like, can we get that in the library? He's like, oh, yeah. Like, there was no selling of anything.
I love it.
No, here you should do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the personality test, but he literally gave it to us and said, here, you can do it at home and then just mail it in.
Right.
And all of this is totally different from what I'm hearing from all of you ex-Scientology members. And I'm like, was this strange? Like, well, I don't know what's going on here.
No.
There was one weird thing that I noticed is that there was a camera set up, like they were going to shoot a video of some sort. And I thought, were they trying to like rush us out of there so they could do whatever they were going to do?
Right. Okay. So excellent. Thank you for sharing all of that with me. I'm definitely interested in knowing how things are these days, as opposed to how they were back in my day or earlier times. And that's exactly what you're sort of verifying, is that maybe there were earlier conversations, or maybe it was in the one that I just had with Alex, I can't remember, where I've said they're not doing what they used to do that was drawing in a lot more people. They've changed that over the years to more of the approach you just described exactly. So I feel validated for what I said. Maybe I didn't say it in that last talk with Alex, though, so maybe that is why that's slightly confusing. I can see how that could be that way.
But there was no, like, push to buy anything. It was like, hey, here, watch this stuff. He gave me every single free pamphlet, flyer, booklet. I have them all that he would give me. Right. I took every single one just because I wanted to read them eventually. But there was no, he was trying to give me DVDs, and I was like, I won't watch them. But there was, as far as buying anything, nothing.
Right.
He didn't ask me for not at all. None.
Awesome.
And I was just like, that's weird.
It's weird only because it's such a wild change for them from how they used to be, and that's you went in now, so you don't have that earlier experience, but that's totally fine. This is why, it's kind of a funny thing, but this is why Scientology is such a tiny group now and is shrinking as rapidly as it is because they're not even trying anymore, really, at the front end. That's not what they're about, and it's a reflection of the leadership, because what happened with you is pretty much what David Miscavige said is supposed to happen. Leave them alone, let them watch the videos. That is what's supposed to sell them, and it doesn't. You weren't sold on it, were you?
Oh, no, but I also went in there going, okay, all this video stuff, I'm like, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. And I'm kind of whispering it to my daughter in her ear, I'm like,
right.
this isn't true.
Right, exactly.
But
so they weren't convincing you of anything.
Boring.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly. So really like I said, I've talked about this a lot more than just that one show with Alex. So to give you the full picture is David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology, has drastically changed how Scientology is sold to people. Like you experienced, it used to be very different. Now it's this very sedate, calm, walk in, walk out, nobody's bothering you. And that's why nobody's buying anything, and why they're not selling any books, and why they're not successful like they used to be. Because it used to be a very different picture for Scientology. And this is all good news. This is not bad news. I'm happy to hear this, because this means that they're just shrinking and they're not even trying to do anything about it. And I'm okay with that. Now, that's one place you went in Canada, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In Ontario, yeah.
Yeah. And we were talking about the fact that in certain areas, like in Los Angeles or Clearwater or, anywhere the Sea Org is located, things get a little bit more intense and a little bit more like, let's go, taka, get those books sold, get those numbers up kind of thing. So there's a little bit more pressure maybe in those areas. Like, I doubt you would have had the same experience if you'd walked into the Los Angeles Church of Scientology. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they would have at least tried to have sold you something. From other videos and stuff we've seen of them recently, that's kind of how they act. So,
well, if I ever get to Los Angeles, I'll try it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be interested to hear your take on it, as to the difference.
Compare and contrast.
Basically, yeah. But that's good news. Like I said, and Scientology in Canada is so bloody tiny as it is already that It's good news to me. So thank you for calling. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about real fast?
Just one real quick thing.
Yeah.
Just because you plug your book, and I want to kind of plug it for you.
Oh, thank you.
A friend of mine, she always asks me, what do you want for Christmas? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I never know. My parents ask me. I'm like, I don't know. But this year I was like, I know exactly what I want. I want Chris Shelton's book. So I got it for Christmas. I haven't read it yet, but I did get it for Christmas. So.
Yay!
Awesome.
That's one way people could get your book.
Yes, exactly.
They don't have to buy it themselves. Somebody could gift it to them.
Yes.
There you go.
Somebody for it and protect it.
That's the spirit. Thank you. Thank you for that endorsement. Enjoy the book. Let me know what you think of it after you finish.
I absolutely will.
Awesome. All right. Talk to ya.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
All right.
Well, we should thank Mitzi, I think it was, in the chat.
Oh, yes. Let me go back
Give
to
us
this.
a super chat.
Oh, Mitzi, thank you. Very nice super chat. Oh, great. Wonderful comment. Thank you very much for that. So nice. Okay, good. All right. We have another call in the queue. Let's pick this one up. Yep. Okay, good. Hello, is this Travis?
It is. Thank you for taking my call, Chris.
You bet. Thanks for calling in, Travis. What you got for me this week?
Well, before I go into what my emphasis is tonight, to that lady who just got off the phone, the Canadian woman, that's the same exact experience I had in the Dallas org. And I'm sure you remember me calling in about that.
That's right. Yeah, we were happy about that, if I remember.
No, it was actually a great experience. Both, obviously, calling you is a great experience every single time, but it was actually kind of fun to go in there and see how, let's say, sad the organization was.
Right. Right?
Very
Doesn't
sad.
it feel
And
that way? Doesn't it feel a little sad in the building?
Oh, listen, I've been in some sketchy places in my life, and I'm not going to go into where. This was years ago, but I can assure you that the places that I've been to that were legitimately, I was in law enforcement, that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Were nowhere near had the disgusting or sad vibe as the Scientology ideal org. Imagine having a tarnished brass commode, and then that's an altarpiece. You know, like that's sad.
Right. Exactly. Very sad.
So,
yes, thank you for that. So what you got for me?
So I'd like to underscore something.
Yeah.
That you said, and that is with the emotional needs, people need belonging, and they need purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's a distillation of what you said. Now, what you didn't actually directly talk about is what's the alternative. The alternative is physical and psychological isolation, and also insecurity.
Oh, big time.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
A lack of certainty.
Yeah.
Not having certainty and which is fear, basically.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So that's the alternative. Now, don't take this the wrong way, everybody watching. I'm not setting up a black or white thing here. It exists on a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, everybody, I think, within the viewing audience, both now and in the future, can have something that they map this to. But what am I talking about? Here in the United States, during the COVID pandemic, like it or not, agree with it or not, we all got locked down.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
People couldn't go to work. They had to stay home. Kids couldn't go to school. Young people, I should say, of all ages. What happened? Well, there has been a considerable amount of study now done that shows not only what happened to the young people who didn't have that purpose, who didn't have that community. Yeah, it was deleterious on their psychological health. They were isolated. Adults happened to have a lot of fear. Oh, am I going to die? Blah, blah, blah. I might be exaggerating that, but there were a lot of people out there who did think this. At the end of the day, that's something that was widespread. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, that's an extreme example, but it speaks directly to categorically, what happens when people don't have their belonging of whatever it is, a job, who knows,
Security.
and they have security, like, oh no, I'm going to have my intestines come out of my throat. That wasn't one of the symptoms. I'm being hyperbolic here.
Right.
Simply to drive it forward.
Right. You're nailing it.
Reduce that down to a micro scale. You have people who get out of cults, and they're faced with something on that spectrum.
Yep.
So I'll just give a quick anecdote and I'll hang up.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, his mother was aged elderly mom, like 90, well within that category. She was in I don't know, they have a new name for these. We used to call them old folks home. I think they call them retirement communities.
Yeah.
They couldn't let any visitors in there, okay? Because everybody's going to have the COVID and everybody's going to die and the sky's falling. So you get your hands in your pants when people talked about it back then. This woman she couldn't even see her kids. The only were adult children except through a window in her room.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, they'd wave, they'd call her up. She just quit eating. She was so isolated and so depressed, she quit eating. Within 2 weeks, they were planning a funeral.
Ugh.
Oh, that's so
Fill in
sad.
the blanks, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
It is.
That's right. It is sad.
And honestly, that's an extreme example, mind you.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when people don't have that belonging.
Exactly.
When people are experiencing the very painful effects of social isolation.
That's right.
Okay? So
Right. No, you're
That's all
nailing
I
it.
got.
That's a great point, and it's also in terms of the recidivism, as we were talking about, right? The cult hopping, recidivism. Those emotional needs, you're reminding me right now, so I want to make sure before I forget this. It's not like the cult is doing a really great job of fulfilling those needs. So when so it's not like, they even if they think their needs are being fulfilled, as soon as they're out of the group, they're right back into it again so many times. Not 100%, but so many times, because the cult was only pretending to fulfill those needs, or putting a sort of a shiny gloss on them. But as soon as the cult's out of the picture, the stilts fall apart and it all just falls apart again. So anyway, just another part of that picture that I thought I'd throw out there.
Well, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks,
and by the way,
yeah.
Melissa, your quote there from Captain Kirk, I'm a pro at repeating mistakes in new ways and in old ways over and over again. And I'm old, so
Me
there
too.
you go. I love Captain Kirk because he's like me.
Yeah, me too. I'm really good at repeating mistakes. Oh, yeah.
Aren't we all?
Uh-huh.
All right. Thanks, Travis. Okay. Good deal. So those were the calls in the queue. Hey,
Yes,
thanks,
they
guys.
were.
You
Yeah.
guys, I'm getting some great comments here.
Yeah.
All right, let's remove the headphones.
Yes, let's
where
do
I
that.
think we'll wrap up the phone calling portion of the show. Good timing on everybody's part. Thank you very much for the callers. Really love that. I am really amazed that more folks who have questions for me or issues or whatever just don't call in. I mean, it's right there. You can call in anytime and talk to me. Anyway, awesome stuff. But still, drama-free zone. All right. On that happy note, let's go ahead and start wrapping up,
All
I
right.
guess. Yeah. Okay. First off, you get these, and I get to tell you guys about an awesome podcast that is dropping tomorrow. Right here in this room, a few weeks ago, I interviewed Dr. Yuval Leor. The man who has put forward the theory about L. Ron Hubbard and what his problem was, and one of his big problems, at least, being possibly this thing, temporal lobe epilepsy, an actual brain condition that we believe Hubbard suffered from. So we spent 2 hours breaking it all down, symptomology, all of it. right here. And you guys are going to be the beneficiaries of that tomorrow when it drops. So I hope you guys will check that out. As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the most important pieces of work I've ever put out for understanding and explaining cult leader behavior. And here's the cool thing about it is it's not just explaining behavior, it's also potentially opening a door to how to deal with it in the future. Maybe there are medical interventions that could actually help. Wouldn't that be amazing? I think it would be. If we could actually, like not just, well, anyway, it would be amazing if we could nip these things in the bud or get them off before they become truly awful things by recognizing that there could be physiological problems. It's not a full explanation of every single thing that's wrong with cult leaders, okay? It's not at all. But it might be a pretty big part of the puzzle. So anyway, I hope you guys will check that out tomorrow. And yeah, there will be a Q&A show this week, and there will be a After Scientology Straight Up and Vertical this week.
All
Mel,
right.
what do you got for us?
So our fallacy is ambiguity. Using double meanings or ambiguities of language to mislead or misrepresent the truth. When the judge asked the defendant why he hadn't paid his parking fines, he said that he shouldn't have to pay them because the sign said, "Fine for parking here." And so he naturally presumed that it would be fine to park there.
Ambiguity.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Well, there we go. Watch those logical fallacies, everybody.
Yes.
And on that happy note, thanks for coming around. Thank you very much for your support. Always appreciated. You can contact me for personal consultation. I'm always available. I've got a book here. You can buy it. It's all about Scientology. It's awesome stuff. And, of course, you can support the channel through Patreon, PayPal, Venmo, buy me a coffee, whatever, if you are in the mood to do so and think that this channel is worth supporting. I happen to think it is. I hope you do, too. And on that happy note, bye-bye.
Good night.